Destination Uri, the morning programme, Rowan Hand. Steve is with me. Steve Eccles, talking to Steve in a moment. You're very welcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just update on the news. Cross-border appeal has been issued by the Irish police over a woman and her 3 children missing from their home in County Roscommon. Fiona Gregg, she's 41, and her children, Killian, he's 8, Ilse is 6, and Derbla is 2, were last seen at about 3 o'clock yesterday. They're believed to be travelling in a light blue Nissan Almera saloon. Registration number 0, and this is important, 01G7051. They're thought they could possibly be in Northern Ireland, and that's ongoing, and there's no developments on that yet. Security alert is continuing near Crossmaglen in South Armagh after a suspicious object was left close to the north-south electricity connector. It's understood that a beer keg has been found close to the pylons. On Tuesday, police issued a warning to people in the area to be vigilant and not to approach any suspicious objects. Followed a telephone warning that a bomb had been left in the village. The person who made the call used what's referred to as a recognised code word. Police helicopter was over the scene for most of the day yesterday, and the Dundalk Road has been closed between Foxfield Road and the border. And that's you. That's the latest we have for you there. Steve, how are you? You're welcome. Good to see you. I'm great. My back has never been better.
Good.
It went downhill a wee bit a fortnight ago, largely because I started to slump a little bit. A fellow shouldn't slump.
Shouldn't slump.
Never slump. That's what you don't do. You don't slump. That's not good.
No.
Where are you taking me today?
Oh, I was going to talk about discs
Discs
today.
are important, yes.
So, I brought my friend along here, my spine.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
One day I shall be like this. Lying in a box.
We all will.
Yes.
Oh, you haven't thought about the air burial then?
What's the air burial?
Tibetan air burial.
Oh, stretched out on a tree.
Yes.
And the birds come and eat you.
And then they grind your bones into
with their
later.
big teeth.
No, but then later the family will grind your bones into dust and
throw it up in the air.
Into the wind.
Wow,
isn't that
lovely?
Lovely. It isn't. It's
lovely.
Okay.
Lovely.
Right.
There's Martin. How are you, Martin? Good morning. Coming to you shortly. Have a seat, please.
Okay, so
what are we doing here now?
Well, I'm going to talk about discs. You can see that there are a lot of bones here. At each one of these bones is
big
called
ones and small ones.
Vertebrae.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. Well, they're big up here and they're small down up there. And between each of the bones is what's a little shock absorber.
Yes.
Okay. And in my model here, they're made of rubber, but in real life, of course, they're not. And one of the problems that we have with a disc is that if it was solid and you bent forward, there'd be a lot of stretching of the back.
Yes.
And so it would be too loose. So we have a mobile sac of gel in the middle of this fibrocartilage disc.
Yes.
Okay. So when you bend forward, this mobile piece moves back.
Yes.
So it stops these ligaments having to be extremely long and therefore unstable. So it's a beautiful piece of equipment.
Yeah, kind of like high quality running shoes.
Absolutely.
You no pressure.
Yes.
The gel absorbs it.
But this moves back and forward. And it's almost like a thick toothpaste.
Yeah. Latitudinal movement.
Yes. So
on a longitudinal spine.
It is. So
it is.
What we do with our spines has a great bearing on how healthy these discs are. So if we're bending badly, lifting, twisting when we're bending, particularly bad, we slowly start eroding these discs.
Yes.
Now, if we get to a point where the disc tears a little bit, and you bend forward,
I know what's going to happen.
What can happen is that now the wall that's retaining the nucleus, the little gel piece, is no longer there, and the gel moves back and either causes a bulge, or can break free and get right into among the nerves
can
of
we
your
have bone on bone? In the spine.
Yes, you can.
Sounds really painful.
Well, as we get older, we all get shorter, and that's because these discs become dehydrated, and that the ends of the bone, these bits, get a little bit weak, and we kind of absolutely.
You
and
keep
that's
talking.
not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's just a product of getting old. We get a little less flexible.
Yes.
But these bulging discs are mainly around, well, in your 30s, 40s, and 50s. As you get a bit older, there's less chance of these becoming a problem because they become dehydrated and they don't move so much.
Wow.
Okay. So what I'm getting to is this: people will come along and say, "Oh, I went and I have back pain, so I went and got myself an MRI, and I've got 3 bulging discs."
Yes.
And I'm 55 or whatever. And I would say that probably doesn't matter. Probably everybody who's 55 has some kind of activity like that, and it doesn't mean anything. However, if the disc is bulging and pressing on these little nerve roots, then we've got problems, because these nerve roots are the problem. Pain. And also when the disc is torn, the juice from it pours out onto these nerve roots and really irritates them as well. So we got chemical as well as mechanical pain.
My God.
So what can we do about it? Well, first of all, we can look after our backs before it begins, and not tear these discs that we have. But I think really once we have them, then you need a physiotherapist. I think this idea of popping them back in is not really sensible. I think that's probably another diagnosis that responds well to a manipulation, but not these. And I think popping them back in or manipulating them is also dangerous, because if the disc goes the other way, if the material doesn't go back into the center but gets pushed further out, then you can get further damage.
I knew a person once, and she would say her back was out.
Yes.
And I had to apply pressure. She encouraged me to apply pressure to the back. Push. Not a good idea, perhaps.
Well, I think amateur manipulation's probably
not
somewhat risky. Yes.
God, I would tell you.
So
told you were wrong. I'm just speaking to her there.
What we do is we try to stop people with a bulging disc doing the wrong thing. That the poor sitting is something that you mustn't do. So if I have somebody who I diagnose with a disc injury, then I'll stop them sitting totally.
Yes.
I'll ban them from sitting, and they'll lie down, and then they'll do hourly extension exercises, and pressing in on that bulge, trying to move it forward. If this works, and sometimes it does really nicely work, then we have to keep doing that for a week or so until scar tissue occurs, and it solidifies it all up a little bit. But I think that this have a go of yourself and get my neighbour to manipulate me.
No.
If it's a disc bulge, you can end up in surgery.
Yeah.
And Lord knows we don't want that.
Yeah. And my posture now is okay.
Yes. You know what I do is generally I put a pillow in behind.
Yeah. Pillows in.
And there you go, and you've got more support there.
And I'm okay now. I'm sitting properly.
That's good. Yes.
Yeah.
So with these discs, I just want people to remember that these are serious injuries. Sometimes I've seen discs that people would have been better breaking their legs than having this disc injury.
Yes.
And sometimes it does end up in surgery, and it's one of the few times when spinal surgery, well, not one of the few times, but it can be very important, and it can actually be an emergency in some cases when the nerves are compromised.
Okay.
So
it's not the end of the world, though.
It's not the end of the world, but if we look after our spines now, then we'll hopefully not have this. But if you're feeling numbness in your legs, if that straight leg raise if you lie down and somebody lifts your leg and there's a vicious pain at a certain level, it could indicate that this. Okay. One more thing I'd like to, nothing to do with spines. I see people out running in the icy cold, and they're just in their shorts.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Put on a pair of tights. Yeah. Running tights, of course.
Yes.
And keep those muscles nice and warm, because otherwise you're much more likely to get injured.
Steve, tell the folk where they can find you.
You can find me in the Old Warrenport Road, number 47. I think this is the week that the website's coming up, so I know it's.
Like to think so.
Yes, and otherwise on Facebook at Eccles Physiotherapy. All right.
Well, take care. Some music incoming presently. Marty Murta on Paranormal Tours.